Good morning, grade 10s. This will be the key to your test. The same way we'd go over it in class. It's a little weird, the multiple choice, because you can't print the Google form into OneNote. At least I haven't figured out how yet. So you'll see what I mean in a second. Okay, so let's get down to it. Alright, so as you can see, I've got the question on the left. I've got some blank space on the right, so I'm going to just work through it that way. Number 1 is A. You just had to count up 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 over 5. Oh, I'm going to get my oh, it's there. Never mind. Number 2 is I've got 2 x's and 2 y's, so of course it's 9 minus 3 over 5 minus 3, which is of course negative 5 minus 3, which is of course 12 over negative 8, which is negative 3 halves, which is D. Number 3, obviously that's a negative slope, which is A. Number 4 was done really poorly. So a straight section of an Olympic downhill ski slope. Well, there's the slope. There's the skier. Except I drew him like a snowboarder. It drops 16 meters. You ski on this part. You don't dig down the mountain and then ski along here. This part is 34. Find the slope. Well, obviously you had to do Pythagoras because that's 90 degrees. So that's 34 squared minus 16 squared, which equals 30 squared. So this is 30. So the slope is 16 over 30, which is 8 over 15. And of course, it's a negative slope because I'm skiing down it. And that was B, if there were letters. Number 5. Determine the slope of the line that is perpendicular. So you find this slope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. It was 6 over 4. And then you reciprocate it to 4 over 6 and change the sign, which is negative 2/3. Number 6, perpendicular to that. So you, instead of having the y's on top and the x's on the bottom, you just flip it. So it would be 4 minus 3 over negative 10 minus 8, which is 1 over... Oh, man. Sorry, I wrote that down totally wrong. X's are on the top. So the way most of you should have done it, I was taking a shortcut. It screwed me over. You should have gone negative 10 minus 3 over 4 minus 8, which would have gotten you negative 13 over 12, and then you flip it to 12/13 and change the sign. Number 7, got an x-intercept of 7, a y-intercept of negative 5. What's the slope that is perpendicular to that? Well, that is 5/7, because you went up 5 and out 7. So the slope must be negative 7/5. Number 8. Write an equation for a graph that has a slope of 1/3 and a y-intercept of -3, slope of negative 1/3, so it's y equals negative 1/3 x minus 3. Number 9, write the equation of that graph. Well, you can see it goes through -1, so the y-intercept is -1, and it goes up 1 and left 5, so the slope is negative 1/5. So it's negative 1/5 x minus 1, which is A. Number 10. What's the value when x is 10? Well, that's y equals negative 7/2 times 10 minus 4, which equals negative 70/2 minus 4, which equals negative 35 minus 4, which equals negative 39. Number 11, you have a slope of 8 and it passes through that point. So it's y minus 3 equals 8x minus 4, but y minus 3 is y plus 3, 8x minus 4. Number 12. Describe that. Well, you know the points are -8 and +7, and its slope is -5. 13. What graph goes through -3, -1 with a slope of 3/4 that's positive? So it can't be A or B, it has to be C or D, and only C goes through -3, -1. So 13 was C. 14. Put that in slope-intercept form. So you just have to do algebra. Slope-intercept form, y is isolated and there's no brackets. Y minus 3 equals negative 2/7 x plus 10. Get rid of the brackets. Y minus 3 equals negative 2/7 x minus 20/7, which is y equals negative 2/7 x. And when you look over here, you only see one negative 2/7. It has to be B. But of course, you would just bring that 3 over, and you would add 21/7. Number 15. Determine the y-intercept of that equation. So y minus 3 equals 4x plus 5. The easiest way to do that is put it into the slope-intercept form. 4x plus 20. Then you bring that 3 over and you add 3. So it becomes 23. 16. In which form is that written? That is general form. 17. Put that in general form. Y equals 3x, 3/2x plus 8. General form has no fractions, and the x is positive. So the first thing I do is multiply everything by 2 to get rid of the fraction. So I have 2y equals negative 3x plus 16. X has to be positive, so I bring it over here. 3x plus 2y. 16 was positive, but when I bring it over here, it becomes negative. Number 18. Write that in general form. General form again. No brackets, no fractions. So you multiply both sides by 3 to get rid of the fraction. 3y plus 15 equals 5, x minus 3. 3y plus 15 equals 5x minus 15. X needs to be positive. It already is. So 5x, bring the 3 over here, minus 3y. Bring the 15 over there, minus 15 minus 30 equals 0. Number 19. Which graph is that equation? Well, I would take that and I would put it in slope-intercept form, which means isolate y. Negative 6y equals negative 4x plus 12. Y equals 2/3 x minus 2. So I find the one that goes through minus 2. It's right there, A. And it's got a positive slope. So number 19 was A. And number 20, he has X egg cartons that hold 12 eggs. So 12 eggs in every X carton, plus 18 eggs in every Y carton, equals 72 eggs. But I want that. They're all in general form, so all I had to do is move the 72 over. 12x plus 8y minus 72 equals 0. So that's it for that. And then, obviously, you need to see the open-ended, which I have right here. Determine the slope and draw the graph of the line. Well, the x-intercept is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The y-intercept is negative 3. So the slope is 3/5. And almost nobody actually drew the graph of the line, but I gave full credit anyway, because I'm in a good mood. What is an equation for that line? Almost everybody did the slope. 4 minus 2 over 3 minus 1, which gets you 6 over 4, which gets you 3/2, and then you stopped. I want an equation for it. Well, that's a slope and that's a point. So you could have had y plus 2 equals 3/2 x plus 1, or you could have had y minus 4 equals 3/2 x minus 3. Or you could have done y equals 3/2 x plus b, but since you don't know b, you would have to find it. Well, there's an x, there's a y, so you could have put them into the equation. Or there's an x, there's a y, and you could have put them into the equation and then solved for it, which would have gotten you y equals 3/2 x plus, I believe it was 1/2. These vertices, is this a triangle? Explain your method. So, if I graph it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's A. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2. There's B. 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's C, and there's D. A great many of you just drew it and said, yep, that's a rectangle, all right. Of course, if it were a rectangle, these would all have to be 90 degrees. Some of you said they were parallel, but this is still a parallel. They need to be at 90 degrees. So you had to do some work with perpendicularness. And this question was right on your quiz, and a bunch of you still didn't do it right. The D-intercept is 5 because she's 5 meters away at 0 seconds. The T-intercept is 10 because it takes 10 seconds to reach the camera. And the equation of the line in general form. Well, you've got the slope. It's -5 over 10. And you've got the y-intercept is 5. So y equals -5 over 10x plus 5. But of course, the y's are d equals -1/2 t plus 5. And then I wanted it in general form. So put it in general form. Get rid of the fraction and the negative. So I had to multiply everything by -2. 2d equals t minus 10. So t minus 2d minus 10 had to equal 0. And that's the whole thing. Now, I will not be doing another video until after the long weekend. Please have as much fun as you safely can. You have Friday off for a Pro D. I will be doing a live meet Thursday, another live meet Tuesday, and your next video lesson will not be until Wednesday of next week, 1 week from today. Enjoy your time.